Welcome to another Lightsaber Duel analysis. Today we are going to be focusing on one of my favorite duels from the prequel trilogy. No, not that one. This one. Count Dooku vs Anakin Skywalker and Obi Wan Kenobi aboard the Invisible Hand. And mostly, this will be an opinion piece on why I love this duel more than a second-by-second analysis of the lightsaber movements or choreography. So let's talk about the players at hand. We do know that Dooku is a master of Form 2 called Makashi, while Anakin is a user of Gemso, a variant of Form 5. And Obi-Wan, before he goes down for the count again, uses Form 3 called Soresu, which, again, he is a master of. And in case this all sounds like nonsense, what I am saying is Anakin's lightsaber form was one which uses the opponent's attacks against them. Power attack, counter attack. And it's a style that generates forward momentum because of its reliance on strength. It's also a form which was frowned upon because it encouraged aggression, which doesn't sound very Jedi-like.
My powers have doubled since the last time we met, Count.
And Dooku's form was a more refined and precise style of combat, where it's all about outmaneuvering, with much less emphasis on strength. Dooku was a gentleman. Now, although this duel only lasts for what seems a minute or two, it carries so much importance in regards to the story of Revenge of the Sith, the schemings of Palpatine, and how Anakin truly began falling to the dark side in a very real sense.
Sense great fear in you, Skywalker.
There are a lot of layers to this duel. Beyond that, I love this scene because at its core, it's just theater for Palpatine. Currently, Dooku is Palpatine's apprentice. However, Dooku's usefulness has run its course, and Dooku was never going to be the Sith Lord Palpatine desired. Dooku is actually too smart to just be some brute for Palpatine's future empire. Anakin was always the apprentice that Palpatine wanted. Someone young, impressionable, and supremely powerful in the Force. Plus, it doesn't hurt that he is the chosen one.
We will watch your career with great interest.
On top of all that, because of the friendship between Anakin and Chancellor Palpatine, Palpatine knows about Anakin's worst deed as a Jedi, that being when he murdered the tribe of Sand People for the death of his mother. Palpatine already knows that inside of Anakin is a darkness that only needs a bit of a push to come out, and as we will see, that's exactly how Palpatine plays the game. This is Anakin's test without him even realizing it. Now, visually, I thought it was pretty brilliant that this duel itself opened up like an homage to Return of the Jedi, giving us a repeat of the visual language of Vader bringing Luke before the Emperor. It's like one big loop. Here, Anakin commits the act, which solidifies Palpatine's hopes for his future empire. And here, Vader was tempted by the light, and Anakin returns, undoing Palpatine and his empire. For about 30 years. Now, regarding the fight itself, one interesting detail occurs right as it starts. Dooku has prepared himself against the opening defensive forms that Obi-Wan and Anakin have taken. And unfortunate for Dooku, the second that they engage, both Anakin and Obi-Wan switch forms. From what I can tell, it looks like Obi-Wan went from Form 4 to Form 3. And Anakin was in some variation or stance of Form 5, but I can't really tell. Either way, this starts the duel with Dooku at a big disadvantage because he was ill-prepared. And as the duel progresses, it becomes painfully clear to Dooku that he might just lose to these two. Dooku is fatigued from playing the role of the villain, and I think that we should take that literally. Dooku might be a highly skilled lightsaber expert, but he is no longer in his prime. Anakin, on the other hand, has the ability to push through fatigue, drawing on the power of the dark side itself during the duel to overwhelm Dooku. Beyond the backdrop of this being Anakin's test of the dark side, it's also Dooku's last dance. As I mentioned, Dooku has been nothing but a placeholder for something better for Palpatine's future plans. Palpatine had originally promised Dooku that this was all only a test and that if Anakin prevailed over him, that he would intervene and stop the duel. But as the novel, and even the duel itself suggests, Palpatine wants Anakin to kill Dooku as proof that he will turn to the dark side. When Dooku hears Palpatine tell Anakin to kill him, he thinks that he's lost his marbles, but quickly remembers that treachery is the way of the Sith. This will now be a fight for his life as opposed to being taken prisoner by the Republic at the hands of Anakin Skywalker. And oddly, I'd also argue that Obi-Wan could have taken out Dooku as well had Palpatine not intervened in the fight, forcing Dooku and Anakin into a one-on-one match. And it's clear in the movie itself that there are two spots where Palpatine did aid Dooku. The first was when Obi-Wan was force pushed, and finally, right when he was force choked and then thrown.
Get
It's quick and it's subtle, but the book also, I believe, doubles down on this interference. It's safe to say that without Palpatine's intervention, Dooku could have fallen at the hands of Obi-Wan, since Obi-Wan went on to beat Anakin on Mustafar. Now, after Obi-Wan is out of the picture, Anakin fully embraces the dark side, and we notice this as the intensity of the duel reaches its climax. Dooku senses the fear in Skywalker, saying that he's afraid to use it. But actually, Dooku is wrong here. Dooku has already done exactly as Palpatine requested, and drawn out the dark side in Anakin. And once he does, Anakin delivers a series of explosive power attacks, dominating Dooku, until Dooku is about to strike Anakin from overhead. However, as I said, Dooku is slow and fatigued, and Anakin uses that slight difference in strength and in speed to pull Dooku close to him, unbalancing Dooku's downward momentum, exposing both of his arms, and Anakin brings his saber straight up, severing both of Dooku's hands at the wrist. And in true poetic fashion, Dooku's lightsaber flips into the hands of Anakin's, which brings both blades down across Dooku's neck. Another reason I love that Anakin cuts off both of Dooku's hands has more to do with Dooku being disgusted by robotic prosthetics. The worst thing Dooku could imagine is losing both of his hands and having them replaced like Anakin's arms were. So I think this also served as good retribution for Dooku taking Anakin's arms away. Now, I hand it to Hayden Christensen here. Yes, he does get a bad rap for his acting, and a lot of that criticism is valid for sure. But I think the struggle inside of Anakin at this moment was very well done. The literal symbolism of the blue and red blade across the neck of an unarmed man while Anakin considers his options was fantastic. And all it took was one final push, or as the book puts it, permission, to have Anakin unleash his innate dark side. And we get one final horrified face of Dooku before Anakin decapitates him in cold blood, solidifying his path on the dark side from here on out. Dooku was destined to fail because he was always just a pawn. But either way, the demonstration of power by Anakin was too much for the Sith Lord and Master of Makashi to survive. Of course, Palpatine aided in this duel, but like I said, it was Anakin's full embrace of the dark side which snuffed out Dooku. Now, the final thing about this duel that I want to touch upon was the fact that Dooku was supposed to have killed Obi-Wan Kenobi. And the fact that he didn't clearly had far-reaching implications for Palpatine, and either Palpatine did not consider them, or he couldn't figure out how to deal with that in that exact moment. My best guess is Palpatine believed that when the time came, that Anakin would be powerful enough to defeat Obi-Wan Kenobi. But in the end, it was Obi-Wan Kenobi who destroyed the perfect vessel that Palpatine coveted, cutting off the rest of Anakin's limbs, leaving him to burn alive. This basically forced Palpatine to use Vader in a similar fashion to Dooku until he found somebody truly worthy of replacing Vader with, and that would eventually become Luke Skywalker. So while this kind of turned into a deep dive into the significance of the duel itself, I also think it's one of the best scenes in the entire film. Watching Dooku get betrayed by his master while Anakin also murders him in cold blood was a bold way to start off the film, and a great way to show us that Anakin is already severely compromised as a Jedi within the first act. The only truly derpy thing in this entire fight would be that catwalk falling onto Obi-Wan Kenobi. Out of everything, that's still the one tiny part of this duel that sticks out to me like a sore thumb. Not to get gruesome, but I feel like his legs would have been completely severed from the knees down, creating a pretty horrifying scene, but I get it. We needed that final duel in the film. So thank you for watching this lightsaber analysis deep dive, whatever you want to call it, on Anakin and Obi-Wan versus Dooku aboard the Invisible Hand. Like I said, I think it's a multi-layered scene, a fabulous duel, very, very fun to watch, and I think it still holds up after 15 years. May the Force be with you. AT-AT is signing off.